The air inside the luxurious boardroom of Kingsley Property Group was thick with tension, the hum of quiet conversations and clinking glasses filling the space. But then, everything stopped. Henry Kingsley, the 68-year-old CEO and patriarch of the Kingsley Empire, staggered backward. His hand clutched at his chest as a sharp gasp escaped his lips. The murmur of executives turned into stunned silence. Then, chaos erupted. "Somebody call an ambulance." Isabella Kingsley's voice rang out, high-pitched with panic. Dressed in an immaculate designer suit, her manicured fingers gripped her husband's hand as he crumpled onto the polished mahogany floor. But while others rushed to help, Isabella's hand discreetly slipped into her pocket, retrieving her phone. Her fingers moved with practiced ease, capturing photos of the confidential documents scattered across the table. Across the city, inside the tranquil practice halls of the Berklee Academy of Music, Olivia Carter adjusted the sheet music on the piano in front of her, preparing for her afternoon class. Her phone buzzed on the stand beside her. A glance at the caller ID made her heartbeat falter. "Mrs. Carter," the voice on the other end was urgent. "There's been an incident at Kingsley Group. Henry Kingsley collapsed." Olivia's fingers froze above the piano keys. Henry Kingsley, the man who had abandoned her 33 years ago, the father of her son. Meanwhile, in a sleek, glass-walled office overlooking Manhattan, Nathan Carter leaned forward, his eyes locked on a live security feed of the Kingsley boardroom. His jaw tightened as he watched Isabella's performance, her feigned concern, her subtle movements. At 32, Nathan was the striking image of a young Henry Kingsley. The resemblance had helped him navigate the corporate world while keeping his true identity a secret. For decades, Nathan had only known one version of his father, the ruthless businessman who had walked away from Olivia Carter before he was born. But now, watching the powerful Henry Kingsley collapse, betrayed by his own wife, Nathan saw something different. A man undone by the very empire he had built. Within minutes, paramedics stormed into the boardroom. Their expressions were grim as they worked quickly. "Mr. Kingsley, you're experiencing severe cardiac distress. We need to transport you immediately." As the medical team surrounded Henry, Isabella excused herself, slipping into the ladies' room. There, with swift, calculated movements, she deleted messages from her phone, evidence of conversations she couldn't afford anyone to see. One text caught her eye before she erased it. "Everything is set with the financial commission. They won't see it coming." But Isabella wasn't the only one with secrets. Outside Kingsley headquarters, a man in a dark coat stood in the shadows, a camera in hand. The private investigator, hired by Nathan, focused his lens on Isabella as she met with a man, her lover, a high-ranking financial regulator. Click. The evidence was secured. It was just another piece of Nathan's meticulously constructed plan. Back at his penthouse, Henry Kingsley stirred awake, his body trembling from the ordeal. Ignoring the pain, he fumbled toward his private safe. He needed to see it, to be sure. But when he pulled out the document inside, the air was sucked from his lungs. A will, forged in his handwriting, leaving everything to Isabella. His hands shook as he whispered, This isn't real. This isn't real," he whispered, his face draining of color. The documents in his hands revealed a shocking conspiracy, one that threatened to strip him of his company, his wealth, and everything he had built. In her office, Isabella's phone buzzed once more. Isabella's phone buzzed with a message that made her perfectly polished face turn pale. "He knows. Execute Plan B." She turned to the window, staring out at the Manhattan skyline, her mind racing. Everything she had built over the last 15 years, her careful manipulation, the secret offshore accounts, the impending takeover, was suddenly at risk. If she didn't act fast, everything would unravel. Across the city, at the Berklee Academy of Music, Olivia Carter sat at her beloved piano, her fingers hovering over the keys. The news of the incident at Kingsley Group weighed heavily on her. For 33 years, she had protected her son from his father's ruthless world, but it seemed the past was finally catching up to them. Meanwhile, in his high-rise office, Nathan Carter shut his laptop, his expression grim. The security footage had given him exactly what he needed, proof of Isabella's deception. But it had also shown him something unexpected, his father's vulnerability. For the first time, Nathan didn't just see Henry Kingsley as the powerful man who had abandoned his mother. he saw a frail man, betrayed by the very person he had trusted most. As night settled over Manhattan, each person in this unfolding drama prepared for their next move. Henry, now back in his penthouse, stared at the forged will in his shaking hands. Isabella made discreet calls to her offshore accounts. Olivia played a melancholic tune on her piano, lost in memories of the past. And Nathan reviewed his strategy for the hostile takeover, one that would change all their lives forever. None of them knew that the following evening's dinner at the Argentum Room would bring them together in a way that would expose decades of secrets, lies, and hidden truths. The Argentum Room buzzed with Manhattan's elite as Henry and Isabella Kingsley arrived for dinner. Henry's hand trembled slightly as he adjusted his tie, still feeling the effects of yesterday's collapse. His sharp gaze flickered around the restaurant, noticing a man in a dark suit lingering near the entrance. The same man who had been following them since they left the penthouse. "Darling, I need to make a quick call," Isabella said, flashing a reassuring smile before stepping away. Instead of heading to the ladies' room, she slipped through the kitchen and into the dimly lit back alley, where Daniel Hayes, her secret lover and a high-ranking financial regulator, was waiting. "The board meets tomorrow," Daniel whispered. "Once they see the evidence we planted, Henry won't know what hit him." Inside, Henry took a slow sip of water, trying to steady his nerves. That's when he saw her. Olivia Carter. 33 years had passed, but he would recognize her anywhere. Her hair was silver now, but her poise and grace remained unchanged. But it wasn't Olivia that made Henry's heart stop. It was the young man walking beside her. Tall, confident, with piercing green eyes and a familiar smirk. One Henry used to see every time he looked in the mirror. The resemblance was unmistakable. Just then, Isabella returned to the table, her expression briefly faltering as she spotted Olivia and the young man being seated nearby. A flicker of recognition crossed her face before she masked it with a polite smile. "Mr. Carter," Isabella said smoothly. "What a pleasure to finally meet you in person. We spoke on the phone." Henry's mind reeled, memories rushing back to 1983 to when he was just a struggling real estate agent and first met Olivia in a small, it all came rushing back. The small cafe near Berkeley Academy where she used to meet him between her music classes. The way she had believed in him when no one else did. The memory of her selling her beloved piano to fund his first real estate deal hit Henry Kingsley like a punch to the gut. "Mr. Kingsley." A voice pulled him back to the present. Nathan Carter extended his hand, his expression unreadable. "Nathan Carter, from Harrington Investments. Shall we discuss the future of your company?" Henry barely heard the words. His eyes flicked between Nathan and Olivia, pieces of a puzzle he should have solved years ago finally locking into place. At that moment, Isabella's phone buzzed. A message from her private investigator. Carter owns 15% of Kingsley Group stock, acquired through shell companies over the last 6 months. Across the table, Olivia observed the scene unfold, her heart racing. She noticed Henry's pale complexion, the slight tremor in his hands, the same warning signs she had seen before his first heart attack 15 years ago. The night before he left her. "The company's financial records show some irregularities," Nathan stated, opening his laptop. His voice was calm, but his eyes were sharp. "Would you care to explain the transfers to the Cayman Islands, Mr. Kingsley?" Henry loosened his tie, feeling the pressure in his chest build. Isabella's hand gripped her purse tightly, where she kept incriminating photos of Henry's past dealings. Her insurance for moments like this. "Perhaps we should discuss this privately," Isabella suggested, her voice smooth as silk, though her eyes remained cold. "No." Nathan's voice was firm. "Everything needs to be on the table. After all, we're all family here, aren't we?" The word hung in the air like a thunderclap. Henry's face turned ashen. Isabella's flawless mask of composure cracked. Olivia closed her eyes, 33 years of buried secrets threatening to spill into the open. A waiter arrived with menus, oblivious to the storm brewing at the table. "Would anyone like to start with drinks?" "Water," Olivia said softly, meeting Henry's gaze for the first time. "Just water," Henry murmured, clutching his chest. Olivia instinctively moved as if to stand, maternal instinct overriding decades of pain. Isabella noticed but was too busy texting Daniel Hayes. "He's here. The son. What do we do now?" Nathan watched everything, feeling his carefully constructed plan shifting into something far more personal. The documents in his briefcase, the evidence of fraud, the blueprint for his takeover, suddenly seemed secondary to the human drama unraveling before him. The man who had been following Henry stepped closer, speaking quietly into his earpiece. Outside, Daniel Hayes made a call to his superiors at the Financial Oversight Commission. And somewhere in the kitchen, a waiter carried a bottle of wine to their table, completely unaware that he was about to serve the first course in a dinner that would change all their lives forever. Olivia reached for her water glass, trying to steady her nerves as she watched Henry struggle for breath. She knew the signs too well, the way his left hand trembled, how he kept pressing against his chest. "Mr. Kingsley, are you all right?" she asked, her voice calm and professional, as if she hadn't spent 15 years of her life with him. "He's fine," Isabella snapped, but her attention was locked on her phone. Under the table, Nathan quietly pulled a document from his briefcase. "Before we discuss the company's future," he said, "there's something you should see, Mr. Kingsley." Henry's mind drifted back to 1983. Olivia at her beloved Steinway, playing Chopin while Henry Kingsley had once shared his dreams of building a real estate empire with Olivia Carter. The day she sold that piano, her family's legacy, to save his failing first development project, he had promised to buy her an even better one someday. He had meant it at the time. A commotion near the restaurant's entrance snapped him back to the present. Two men in suits were arguing with the maitre d'. Isabella's face tensed as she recognized them, corporate security from Kingsley Group. "There's been a break-in at the office," one of them announced, approaching their table. "Someone accessed the main vault." Isabella's phone buzzed again. She glanced at the screen, and for the first time that evening, her flawless composure wavered. DNA test confirmed. Henry has another child. Born 1992. Across the table, Olivia used the distraction to slip Nathan a small key. "The documents are still in the piano," she whispered. "All these years, right under the lid." Nathan nodded and excused himself, mentioning a business call. Instead, he headed straight to the Berklee Academy of Music. The night guard was expecting him and led the way to his mother's studio. There, bathed in soft moonlight, stood the Steinway, the same piano his mother had sold 3 decades ago. Nathan had spent years tracking it down and had finally bought it back for her last year. With a steady hand, he lifted the lid. Inside, tucked beneath the frame, were yellowed papers, documents detailing years of fraud, backdoor deals, and betrayals. Back at the restaurant, Henry struggled to focus as the security team explained the break-in. "Someone accessed records dating back to the 1980s, one of the guards reported. "Files you thought were destroyed." "The safe in your office," Isabella said, her voice tight. "Was it opened?" "Everything's gone," the guard confirmed. Olivia watched Isabella closely, remembering the day she had discovered those same documents, right after Henry left. She had been cleaning out their home when she found them hidden behind his rare wine collection, a folder full of evidence that could have ruined him. But she had chosen to protect him back then, for the sake of the child growing inside her. "We should have this discussion somewhere more private," Isabella suggested, standing up. "No." Nathan had returned to the table, his expression unreadable. "Everything comes out now." He placed an old photograph on the table. Henry and Olivia standing in front of their first real estate office. A coded message was scrawled on the back. Isabella's eyes widened. "Where did you get that?" "The same place I got these," Nathan replied coolly, placing more documents onto the table. "Mother's piano has been quite a vault." Henry stared at the photograph, the weight of the past crashing over him. He remembered that day clearly. It was the same day Olivia had told him she'd sold her piano to help him. The guilt he had carried all these years suddenly felt unbearable. "You kept everything," he whispered to Olivia. "Not for revenge," she said softly, "for protection." Isabella's phone lit up again. Urgent message from Daniel Hayes. "Politician involved. Get out, now." Olivia noticed Isabella's panicked expression. "I recognize him, you know," she said suddenly. "Who?" Isabella's voice was sharp. "James." Olivia's gaze didn't waver. "He was my student before he joined the Financial Oversight Commission." The color drained from Isabella's face. The corrupt investigator, the bribed politician, the offshore accounts. Everything, every carefully laid plan was unraveling, and all because of a piano she had never even known existed. Nathan watched his father carefully. The man who had abandoned his pregnant mother was now caught in a web of his own making. But there was something in Henry Kingsley's eyes, regret perhaps, that made Nathan Carter hesitate. A waiter approached with their meals, but no one was thinking about food anymore. For 30 years, the old Steinway had held its secrets. Now, like a symphony reaching its crescendo, those secrets were about to change everything. "That's not all the piano held," Olivia Carter said softly, her gaze meeting Henry's. "There's one more thing you need to know." Nathan's voice was steady as he spread documents across the table. "Your company isn't just facing a financial commission investigation, Mr. Kingsley. You're looking at federal charges of money laundering." Isabella's grip tightened around her phone. Daniel had warned her this might happen, but not so soon. Not here. "These transactions," Nathan continued, pointing to a spreadsheet. "Over $50 million moved through shell companies in the Cayman Islands. Care to explain?" Henry loosened his tie, turning toward Isabella. "I never authorized these transfers." "Of course you did, darling," Isabella said smoothly. "Remember the papers you signed last month for the new development project?" Olivia watched the exchange, thinking back 15 years. She had uncovered Isabella's true nature too late. The day she had gone to warn Henry, she had found him packing his bags instead. "I have proof," Nathan said, his voice unwavering. "These transactions were authorized with a forged signature." He turned his gaze to Isabella. "Mrs. Kingsley, would you like to explain why your lover at the Financial Oversight Commission helped set up these accounts?" Isabella's mask of composure cracked. "How did you?" "I've been watching you for months," Nathan revealed. "Every meeting with Daniel Hayes, every phone call, every secret rendezvous. Did you really think you could steal millions without someone noticing?" Henry's face went pale. "Daniel Hayes, your old student?" he asked, turning to Olivia. "Yes," Olivia said quietly. "The same Daniel Hayes who helped you hide assets during our divorce." The truth struck Henry like a physical blow. Daniel had been playing both sides all along. "There's more," Nathan continued. "The development project in Brooklyn, it's a front for laundering money from political kickbacks. The governor's office is involved." Isabella shot to her feet. "This is ridiculous. I'm calling our lawyers." "Sit down." Nathan's voice was like steel. "Or should we discuss the offshore account in your maiden name? The one with $20 million of embezzled company funds?" Olivia placed a gentle hand on Nathan's arm, feeling the anger in him. The same anger she had spent years helping him control. "I tried to find you," Henry said suddenly, his voice raw as he looked at Olivia. 5 years after I left, but you had disappeared." "I had to," Olivia replied, "to protect our son." The words hung in the air between them. Henry turned to Nathan, really looking at him for the first time, and suddenly he felt his chest tighten again. "All these years," Henry Kingsley whispered, "you've been stealing from me." Isabella's mask finally slipped, revealing the ice beneath. "You made it easy," she snapped. "So trusting, so eager to believe I loved you, just like you believed Olivia back then." Nathan Carter's phone buzzed. Anonymous text, "Back off, or your mother pays." His grip on the table tightened. Olivia noticed the shift in his expression. "What is it?" she asked. "Nothing," Nathan muttered, but his knuckles were white. Henry reached for the documents, but his vision blurred. The room spun around him. The words slipped out before Nathan could stop it. Isabella let out a sharp, bitter laugh. "How touching. The prodigal son returns." She leaned forward, her voice dripping with malice. "Tell me, Nathan, does your sister know you're here?" Nathan froze. "What sister?" "The one Henry had with his secretary in 1992. Isabella's cold smile widened. "Another family he abandoned." Henry shook his head weakly. "That's impossible." "The DNA test came in today," Isabella said smoothly. "Apparently, abandoning pregnant women is a habit of yours." Olivia stood abruptly. "This needs to stop." "No." Nathan's voice was firm. "We're just getting started." He pulled out one final document. "This is a notice of hostile takeover. As of this morning, I control 30% of Kingsley Group's voting shares." Henry clutched his chest. The pain was getting worse. "You can't do this," Isabella hissed. "Actually, I can, and I will." Nathan's voice was calm. Then another text lit up his phone. "Final warning. Walk away, or she dies." The restaurant had emptied around them. Other diners had felt the storm brewing and quietly left. In the kitchen, Daniel Hayes waited for Isabella's signal. Outside, FBI agents were taking up positions. This was far from over. Henry slumped in his chair, his face ashen, sweat forming on his brow. "Someone call an ambulance," Olivia said, her instincts taking over. Years of working with special needs music students had taught her how to recognize a medical crisis. "He's having another attack." "No hospitals," Isabella snapped. "This is just another one of his acts." Nathan pulled out his phone, ready to dial 911. Another message flashed on the screen. "Call anyone, and your mother won't make it home tonight." Olivia took Henry's pulse, her voice steady despite the chaos. "I've known about the fraud for years." She looked up at Henry. "Since the day you left, I found everything. The fake contracts, the bribes, the shell companies." Isabella's eyes narrowed. "Then why didn't you expose him?" "Because revenge wasn't worth destroying my son's father." Her voice was steady. "Unlike you, Isabella, or should I say, Catherine Williams?" A flicker of fear crossed Isabella's face. "How do you? You were in my advanced piano class at the Berklee Academy of Music, 1989. You dropped out after your father's investment firm collapsed, changed your name, reinvented yourself." Nathan's eyes darted between them, the pieces clicking into place. "That's why you targeted him." His voice was sharp. "Revenge for your father's bankruptcy." Isabella's jaw tightened. "Your father's company destroyed mine." Her voice was venomous. "Kingsley Group bought out Williams Investments for pennies on the dollar." Henry struggled to speak, his breath shallow. "I never knew you were Henry Williams' daughter." "Of course you didn't." Isabella let out a cold, bitter laugh. "You never looked past the pretty young assistant who laughed at your jokes and stroked your ego." A commotion near the kitchen drew their attention. Daniel Hayes was being escorted out. And outside, the FBI was moving in. Outside the restaurant, FBI agents swarmed the entrance. Inside, Isabella Kingsley reached for her purse, but Nathan was faster. "Looking for this?" He held up a USB drive. "Your insurance policy?" He smirked. "Daniel already gave us copies of everything." "You don't understand," Isabella said, real fear creeping into her voice. "There are people involved, powerful people, like Governor Harrington." Nathan pulled out another document. "We know about the kickbacks, the laundered money, everything." Henry Kingsley's breathing was becoming more labored. Olivia Carter moved quickly, pressing a nitroglycerin tablet under his tongue. She recognized the symptoms all too well. "There's something else you should know," Isabella said, desperation breaking through her polished demeanor. "About your sister." "Half-sister," Nathan corrected. "No." Isabella placed a hand on her stomach. "Your full sister. I'm pregnant." The revelation hung in the air. Henry stared at his wife, seeing her clearly for the first time in 15 years. "The baby is Daniel's," Isabella continued, "but the trust fund I set up, it's in your name, Nathan. Insurance, in case anything went wrong." Under the table, Olivia's hand found Nathan's, steadying him. "Don't let her manipulate you." "Everything I did," Isabella's voice cracked, "I did for revenge." "But this baby is innocent," Nathan stood. "Where are the original documents from the safe?" "Gone," Isabella said with a small knowing smile. Unless what?" "Unless you drop the takeover. Walk away. Let me leave with what I've set aside for the baby." Henry struggled to stand, but his legs buckled. Olivia caught him before he fell. "He needs a hospital," she insisted. "Wait," Henry gasped. "The safe in my office. There's something you all need to see." Suddenly, the restaurant went dark. In the silence, a chair scraped back. "Mom!" Nathan shouted. A gunshot rang out. The emergency lights flickered on. Isabella was gone. Olivia winced, clutching her arm. Blood seeped between her fingers. "It's just a graze," she said, but her voice shook. FBI agents flooded the restaurant. Through the chaos, Nathan's eyes landed on a familiar face, his mentor from Harrington Investments, watching from across the room, with a satisfied smile. "Dad," Nathan turned to Henry. "Who else knows about the safe?" Henry's breathing was shallow. "Only one person," he whispered. "Your mother's old piano teacher. The man who introduced us." Olivia's face went white. "Professor Anderson?" "Nathan's mentor at Harrington Investments," Henry nodded. "He's been orchestrating everything from the beginning." The truth hit Nathan like a freight train. Another shot rang out. Missed. Nathan grabbed Olivia and pulled her down behind an overturned table. FBI agents charged toward the kitchen. weapons drawn. "Professor Anderson," Olivia whispered, pressing a napkin against her wound. "He was more than my piano teacher. He was my father's business partner before Dad died. And my mentor at Harrington Investments," Nathan added, checking on Henry, who was still struggling to breathe. "He guided my entire career. He's been playing us all." Henry's eyes fluttered open. "The company's system," he gasped. "Check the company system." An FBI agent ran up to their table, his face tense. "We've got a situation. Someone's trying to wipe the company's servers remotely." Nathan Carter pulled out his phone, accessing the Kingsley Group network. "They're deleting everything. Years of records, gone." "Not everything," Olivia Carter said. "The backup drives, in the piano." "Mom, you're hurt. You need a hospital." "Nathan, listen to me." Olivia's voice was urgent. "Anderson didn't just teach me piano, he taught Isabella too." She swallowed hard. "He's been planning this for decades." Henry Kingsley grabbed Nathan's arm. "The safe in my office." His voice was weak. "There's a letter from your grandfather." "Sir, we need to get you to a hospital," an FBI agent interrupted. Nathan's phone buzzed. A message from Isabella. "Anderson has the drives. Meeting at the conservatory. Come alone or they release everything to the press." Another message followed immediately. "Your sister's life depends on it." "He's using Isabella," Olivia realized. "Just like he used my father." "What do you mean?" Nathan asked. "Henry Williams didn't just go bankrupt," Olivia explained. "Anderson convinced him to invest everything in Henry's company, then tipped Henry off about the weakness." Henry Kingsley's face paled. "I never knew," he said weakly. "Anderson brought me all the investors." An FBI agent rushed over. "Governor Harrington was just found dead in his office, apparent suicide." "No," Nathan said. "Anderson's cleaning house." Sarah's phone rang. The conservatory's security system had been triggered. "He's going after the piano." "Why?" Nathan asked. "We already have the documents." "Because?" Henry struggled to sit up. "The piano doesn't just contain documents, it contains proof of what Anderson did 30 years ago. The real reason Olivia's father died." Nathan's phone lit up again. A photo. Isabella, at the conservatory, a gun pressed to her temple, held hostage by Professor Anderson. "I have to go," Nathan said. "Not alone," Olivia insisted, standing despite her injury. "Both of you, wait." Henry pulled an envelope from his jacket. "I've been carrying this since my first heart attack," he said. "It's everything Anderson didn't want found. The truth about all of us." "Sir," an FBI agent interrupted. "The Financial Oversight Commission just froze all Kingsley Group accounts. The company stock is crashing." Nathan checked his phone. Anderson had triggered a massive sell-off. Years of work, thousands of jobs, hanging by a thread. "Son." Henry grabbed Nathan's hand. "The company doesn't matter. Your mother, your sister, that's what matters." Olivia touched the wound on her arm. "Anderson killed my father because he discovered the truth." Her voice was steady. "He's been orchestrating everything. Isabella, the investigation, your career at Harrington Investments." "Why?" Nathan demanded. "Because." Henry's voice was barely a whisper. 30 years ago, Anderson stole millions from his clients. Your grandfather caught him. The proof is still in that piano." Nathan's phone lit up with a final message. "1 hour. Come alone, or they both die. Your mother's studio." Through the restaurant's windows, red and blue police lights reflected against the buildings. FBI agents coordinated their positions. Outside, Henry was being loaded onto a stretcher. Olivia grabbed Nathan's arm. "Nathan, there's something else in that piano. Something even Henry doesn't know about." But before she could finish, the restaurant lights went out. In the darkness, footsteps, running, a door slamming. And when the lights came back on, Isabella was gone. Henry's envelope was gone. Olivia Carter turned to her son, tears in her eyes. "Your father wasn't the only one keeping secrets all these years." At Massachusetts General Hospital, the emergency room buzzed with activity. Doctors worked on Henry Kingsley. In the waiting area, Olivia sat with her arm freshly bandaged while Nathan paced. 20 minutes left, Nathan muttered, checking his phone. "I have to go to the conservatory." "You can't face Anderson alone," Olivia insisted. "He's already killed the governor." A doctor approached. "Mr. Kingsley is stable, but he had another minor heart attack. He's asking for both of you." Inside the hospital room, Henry lay connected to monitors. "The letter," he said weakly. "Anderson can't read it." "What's in it?" Nathan asked. The truth about your grandfather's death. It wasn't suicide, like Anderson made everyone believe. The monitors beeped rapidly. Get a nurse, Olivia called as Nathan ran out. She leaned closer to Henry. I know what Anderson did. I've always known. The night my father died, he left a recording in the piano. I found it after you left me. That's why I had to protect Nathan. Nathan returned with medical staff who rushed them out of the room. His phone buzzed. Another message from Isabella. Time's running out. Anderson knows about the recording. What recording? Nathan asked his mother. Before Olivia could answer, Isabella herself stumbled into the hallway. She was pale, her designer clothes torn. He let me go, she said, trembling, to deliver a message. If you don't bring the original documents to the conservatory in 15 minutes, he'll release everything to the media. The company will collapse. Thousands will lose their jobs. You're working with him, Nathan accused. No. Isabella's hand went to her stomach. I thought I was playing him. But he was playing me all along. Just like he played my father. Your father didn't just go bankrupt, Olivia said. Anderson murdered him too. Isabella's face went white. The recording in the piano proves it. Your father and mine were working together to expose Anderson's scheme. That's why he had them both killed. FBI agents approached. Mrs. Kingsley, we need to ask you some questions about Governor Harrington's death. Wait. Isabella pulled out her phone. You need to see this first. She played surveillance footage Anderson. In the governor's office, Nathan's phone rang. Anderson. Speaker, Olivia said. Time to choose, Nathan. Anderson's voice was calm. Your sister's life or your mother's secret? The recording she's kept hidden all these years. What recording? Isabella demanded. The one that proves who really killed our fathers. The FBI agents exchanged looks and stepped away to make calls. 10 minutes, Anderson said. Come alone to the studio. Or I release everything. The fraud, the murders, and Sarah's biggest secret. What really happened the night Henry left her. The call ended. Nathan turned to his mother. What is he talking about? Olivia's eyes filled with tears. The night your father left, Anderson came to our house. He gave Henry a choice. Leave? Leave us, or he'd kill us both. Olivia Carter's voice was barely a whisper. That's not possible, Isabella Kingsley murmured. Henry left because of me. You were just another piece in Anderson's game, Olivia said. He needed someone inside the company. Someone Henry would trust. Nathan's phone lit up. Final message from Anderson. Time to end this where it began. The piano awaits. Suddenly, the hospital monitors blared an alarm. Through the window, they saw doctors rushing into Henry's room. He's crashing, a nurse shouted. Isabella grabbed Nathan's arm. Anderson has someone else at the conservatory, she said. Her voice was shaky. A girl. She hesitated. She says, she's your sister. Olivia touched her bandaged arm. There's something else in that piano. Something even Anderson doesn't know about. The FBI agents returned. We've got units surrounding the conservatory, but there's a problem. Someone just accessed the building's gas lines. Nathan looked at his watch. 5 minutes left. Mom, he said, what really happened the night Dad left? Olivia pulled out an old key. Go to the piano. The truth is in the third compartment. But she hesitated. Nathan, some truths are harder than others. Inside the hospital room, chaos erupted. Henry's condition was worsening. Isabella's phone buzzed. She read the message. Her face went pale. And somewhere in the conservatory, a piano held secrets that could destroy them all. New England Conservatory. The building stood dark against the night sky. Nathan slipped in through the side door using his mother's key. The hallways were silent, except for one thing. A piano. Someone was playing Chopin's Nocturne in B-flat minor. Nathan followed the music to his mother's old studio. Through the window he saw her, a young girl, at the piano. She looked up, and Nathan froze. She had their father's eyes. Come in. A voice said from the shadows. Anderson. Meet your sister. Emily. The girl stopped playing. She couldn't have been more than 16. She's not involved in this, Nathan said. Everyone's involved. Anderson stepped into view, holding a gun. Your mother. Isabella. Your father. All pawns in a game 30 years in the making. Meanwhile, Olivia entered the building through the basement. She moved quietly toward the hidden room where she had stored the original Steinway all these years. Back in the studio, Anderson motioned for Nathan to sit. Open the piano. Why? Nathan asked. You already have the documents, Anderson smirked. The documents are worthless. I want the recording. The one your mother hid, the one she made the night your father left. In the hospital, Henry regained consciousness. Isabella, he called weakly. She moved closer. Save your strength, Anderson, Henry gasped. He threatened to kill them, that's why I left. But there's something else. His heart monitor beeped faster. Back at the conservatory, Nathan lifted the piano's lid. There's nothing here. Try the third compartment, Anderson said. The one Olivia mentioned. Nathan's hand found a hidden latch. Inside, an old cassette tape and a letter. Play it, Anderson commanded. In the basement, Olivia reached the hidden room. The original Steinway waited in darkness. She lifted the lid. Footsteps. Behind her. I wondered when you'd come. James Parker stepped out of the shadows. Back in the studio, Nathan inserted the tape into an old player. The static cleared. And then, a younger Olivia's voice filled the room. The recording played. If you're listening to this, Henry, it means Anderson's plan worked. He's forcing you to leave us to protect his secret. But what he doesn't know is that I recorded everything. The murders, the fraud, and the truth about that night at the Williams house. Emily's hands trembled on the piano keys. What is she talking about? Keep playing, Anderson ordered. His gun remained steady. In the basement, Olivia Carter faced James Parker. You were just a child when it happened. When Anderson killed your father, James's hand moved to his gun. Henry Williams was my father, James said. Anderson saved me after your husband destroyed our family. Henry Williams wasn't your father, Olivia said softly. Henry Kingsley was. Upstairs, the recording continued. Henry, there's something else you need to know. Something I discovered after you left. It's about James, Victoria's friend from the Financial Oversight Commission. He's your son. Silence. From before we met. Henry Williams adopted him when he married his mother. Nathan stared at Anderson, realization sinking in. That's why you needed him, Nathan said. He wasn't just another pawn, he was your backup plan. Shut it off. Anderson's hand shook, but Olivia's voice continued. Anderson knows. He's been using this to control everyone. The murders, the company takeover, everything was to protect his secret, that he killed his own daughter when she discovered what he'd done. Emily's fingers froze on the keys. What? Anderson's voice cracked. Your mother? She was going to expose everything. In the basement, James lowered his gun. All these years, Olivia said, Anderson used you, just like he used all of us. Upstairs, the recording reached its final revelation. The proof is in the original piano. Not this one, but the first Steinway. The one hidden in the basement, the one Anderson never knew about. FBI agents moved into position. Isabella Kingsley arrived, clutching Henry's letter. Nathan stood slowly. It was never about the company, was it? He said. This whole thing. The fraud, the takeover. Victoria, it was all to find that recording. You don't understand, Anderson hissed. Nathan's jaw clenched. You killed my grandmother. Emily's voice shook. Your own daughter. The basement door burst open. Olivia and James stepped into the room. It's over, Professor, Olivia said. Anderson spun around. His gun moved between targets. None of you are leaving here. Actually, Isabella stepped forward, holding up her phone. Live streaming. The whole world is watching now. And then, music filled the room. The original Steinway, a recording from 30 years ago, playing the same Chopin nocturne Emily had just practiced. A woman's voice, Anderson's daughter, detailing her father's crimes. Anderson's hands trembled. She didn't understand. None of you do. Drop the gun. James stepped forward, his voice steady. Father. The truth hung in the air, with the last notes of Chopin. Nathan looked at his newfound siblings. James, Emily, all pawns in Anderson's game. The piano had kept its secrets for 3 decades, but now, the truth would finally be heard. Midnight. The board meeting will start in 5 minutes, Isabella announced, checking her phone. Kingsley Group, emergency meeting. Executives joining virtually from across the country. Anderson's gun remained steady. You're not broadcasting. Here's the rewritten version of Part 12 with consistent names and settings. You're not broadcasting anything. Anderson's voice was low, dangerous. Check your phone, Isabella Kingsley said smoothly. Anderson hesitated. Then his eyes widened. It was already trending on social media. Kingsley scandal. Across the room, Olivia Carter moved closer to Emily, who sat frozen at the piano. James Parker remained near the door, his CC badge now visible. You were FBI all along, Nathan Carter realized. Looking at James' deep cover, James nodded. Started investigating Anderson 3 years ago. Found out I was Henry's son 6 months in. Anderson's phone buzzed. Board meeting notification. They're voting to dissolve the company, Isabella said. Unless what? Anderson demanded. Unless the truth comes out. All of it, not just your part, but everyone's. At the hospital, Henry Kingsley watched the live stream on his phone. Tears rolled down his face as he saw all his children together for the first time. Nathan pulled up the company's system on his tablet. Stocks in freefall, thousands of jobs at stake. Play the rest of the recording, Olivia said quietly. Anderson's grip tightened on the gun. Don't. But Emily had already pressed play. Her grandmother's voice filled the room. 30 years ago, Dad, I found the proof. The missing client's money. The murders, everything. But there's something else. Something about Henry Kingsley's company. Stop it. Anderson moved toward the piano. The company was built on stolen money, the voice continued. Not Henry's theft. Yours, you used his ambition, his dream, to hide your crimes, and now you're going to kill me, aren't you? A struggle, a gunshot. Emily's hands trembled over the keys. You killed her because she found out you were stealing from your clients. Anderson's face twisted in fury. I built that company, he shouted. Henry was nothing without my investments. Stolen money, James said, from your own clients, your own daughter. The board meeting was starting. Isabella's phone lit up. We have to decide now, she said. The truth, or thousands lose everything. Nathan turned to Olivia. She nodded. Play my recording, she said. The second tape began. A younger Olivia's voice. Henry, by the time you hear this, Anderson will have forced you to leave us. But you need to know, the company isn't built on stolen money anymore. I replaced it. Every dollar from my father's estate. The company is clean. It has been for years. Anderson's been chasing a ghost. Anderson's face went white. Impossible. Check the records, Olivia said. Why do you think I really sold the piano? The money didn't go to Henry's project. It went to repay your victims. Isabella quickly pulled up banking records on her tablet. He's right. The stolen money was replaced in 1989. Silence. Then what was all this for? Emily asked. Power, James said. Control. He couldn't let go of either. The board meeting live feed appeared on Nathan's screen. They were about to vote. Wait, Isabella interrupted. She patched into the virtual meeting. Before you vote, you need to see this. She shared Olivia's recording. As the truth played for the board, Anderson finally lowered his gun. I spent 30 years, he whispered. All this time, chasing shadows. While destroying lives, Olivia finished. FBI agents moved into the room, led by James. Professor Anderson, you're the murderer of Catherine Anderson, Henry Williams, and George Mitchell. As Anderson was handcuffed, Emily placed her fingers back on the piano keys and began to play again, the same Chopin nocturne. The music filled the room. The notes were no longer haunted. They were finally free. Emily continued playing Chopin's nocturne, but this time it carried the weight of 3 decades of secrets. Isabella's phone buzzed. The board's decision was final. Kingsley Group would survive, restructured under new leadership. Nathan, Isabella said, they want you as CEO. Nathan looked at his newfound siblings, James, Emily, then at his mother. No, his voice was firm. We do this together. All of us. Olivia Carter touched the piano keys beside her daughter. Family first. That's what Henry and I forgot 30 years ago. At the hospital, Henry Kingsley watched the live stream from his hospital bed. His children stood together for the first time. He picked up his phone to make one last call. One that would change everything again. You should all come to the hospital. Henry's voice was weak but clear through the speaker. There's something you need to know. 30 minutes later, the group arrived at Massachusetts General Hospital. Emily still seemed shaken by the night's revelations. James maintained his FBI composure. Nathan walked beside Olivia, who hadn't said a word since leaving the conservatory. Henry's room was dimly lit. Isabella stood by the window, her hand protectively over her stomach. "My children," Henry said, looking at them all. "James, Nathan, Emily. I failed each of you," Henry admitted, "in different ways." "Dad, you need to rest," Nathan started. "No." Henry's voice was resolute. "You need to hear this now." He reached under his pillow and pulled out another envelope. "My new will." Isabella turned sharply. "What?" "I'm dissolving Kingsley Group. The company will be reformed as a trust. Olivia will control 50%. The remaining 50% will be split equally among my children. All of my children." James stepped forward. "I don't want anything from you." "It's not for you," Henry said. "It's for the families of everyone Anderson hurt. The trust will help them rebuild their lives." Olivia finally spoke. "That's what I tried to do 30 years ago. To make things right." Henry's voice cracked. "I know. I found the records of your payments to Anderson's victims. You sold everything. Not just the piano." Emily stepped closer. She sat at the edge of her father's bed. "Why didn't you ever look for me?" Henry's eyes filled with tears. "Anderson told me you died at birth. Just like he told James's mother, that I died in an accident before he was born." Isabella stepped forward. She hesitated. Then her voice dropped to a whisper. "The baby I was carrying. James isn't the father." Everyone turned to look at her. "I lost that baby 2 months ago." She exhaled shakily. "I used the pregnancy to manipulate the situation, to protect myself." She paused. "Then, I'm turning myself in. The FBI already has my full confession." James nodded. "We'll need your testimony against Anderson." Nathan checked his phone. "The market opens in 3 hours. What do you want me to tell the board?" Olivia met his gaze. "Tell them the truth. All of it. The company was built on stolen money, but it was made clean through sacrifice. Now, it's time for it to help heal the wounds it caused." Henry pressed a button, raising his bed slightly. "There's something else. Anderson had a partner. Someone who's been watching all of us. For years." Olivia's face went pale. She whispered, "Professor Chen. My father's best friend." Henry nodded. "He's been running the Asian operations. Moving money, hiding evidence." James was already on his phone. "FBI teams are moving in on his location." Emily's hands moved unconsciously, tracing piano notes on her leg. "Will they arrest him too?" "They already have," James Parker said, scanning a message on his phone. "He's agreed to testify against Anderson." Henry turned to Olivia. "I tried to find you 5 years after I left." "I know," Olivia said softly. "I saw you outside the school where I was teaching. But I couldn't risk Anderson finding us." Isabella Kingsley stepped toward the door. "The FBI is waiting for me downstairs. I'll tell them everything I know about Chen's operations." "Wait," Henry called. She hesitated, thanked for coming forward, for helping end this. She nodded once and walked out. Nathan sat in the chair beside his father's bed. "What happens now?" "Now," Henry said, "we build something new, something honest." He looked at each of his children. "Something together." Olivia moved to the window. The first light of dawn was breaking over Manhattan. "Mom," Nathan said, "there's one more secret, isn't there? Something in the original piano. Something you haven't told us." Olivia turned back to the room. "Yes, something that will change everything again." Emily stood. "The last recording. The one hidden in the false bottom." James checked his watch. "Chen will be interrogated in an hour. Whatever it is, we need to know now." Henry reached for Olivia's hand. "Tell them. It's time." Olivia took a deep breath. "The night Anderson forced Henry to leave, he gave me a choice too. One I never told anyone about. Not even Henry." The room fell silent. She reached into her purse and pulled out one final tape. Olivia's hands trembled as she held the cassette. "Before I play this, you need to understand something. Anderson didn't just threaten to kill us that night. He offered me a choice. A choice that would have saved everything." Nathan's voice was barely above a whisper. "What choice?" Olivia swallowed hard. "He wanted me to sign papers, claiming Henry had embezzled the money. In exchange, he would have let us keep everything. The company, our family, our life together." Henry's heart monitor beeped faster. "Olivia." She inserted the tape into a small player she'd brought from the conservatory. Anderson's voice filled the hospital room. 30 years ago. Just sign the paper, Olivia. Henry will go to jail. But you and your baby will be set for life. All his assets will transfer to you. A young Olivia's voice responded. And if I don't? Then Henry leaves you today. He never sees his child. You lose everything, but he stays free. Running the company under my control. Emily's breath caught. You chose to let him go. Olivia nodded. I chose to save your father's freedom, even if it meant losing him. James stood straighter. His FBI training failed to mask the emotion in his eyes. But that's not all that's on the tape, is it? Olivia hesitated. Then, no. She pressed play again. They heard shuffling. Then, a gunshot. Anderson cursing. A door slamming. Nathan's jaw tightened. Anderson tried to kill you that night. Olivia shook her head. No, he killed someone else. Her voice was barely a whisper. Professor Chen's wife. She was there to warn me about Anderson. She died saving my life. Henry struggled to sit up. Chen wasn't Anderson's partner? Olivia's eyes burned with unshed tears. No, he was working undercover for 30 years, gathering evidence. His wife's death was written off as a suicide, just like Anderson's daughter. The tape continued playing. They heard Chen's voice. I'll keep building the evidence, Olivia, but you have to protect Henry's children. All of them. Anderson doesn't know about James yet, or the baby Emily's mother is carrying. Emily's hand flew to her mouth. That's how you knew about all of us. Chen kept me informed, Olivia said, nodding. He helped me track each of you. Make sure you were safe. Even helped me buy back the original piano. James checked his phone. Chen's interrogation just started. He's giving them everything. The company's stocks are suspended, Nathan added, looking at his tablet. The markets are waiting for our statement. Henry reached for Olivia's hand. Tell them the rest. Olivia took a deep breath. Chen and I did more than protect you. We've spent 30 years building a case against everyone involved in Anderson's schemes. The evidence isn't just in the piano, it's in every major financial institution in New York. The trust fund Isabella mentioned, Nathan said slowly. It's not just for Anderson's victims, is it? Olivia nodded. It's all the money we recovered. Billions. Hidden in plain sight. Every dirty deal, every bribe, every theft. We tracked it all. Emily moved to the window. The sun was rising over Manhattan, painting the sky in shades of hope. The conservatory, she said suddenly. The benefit concert. Tonight? Everyone will be watching, Henry nodded. The perfect time to tell the world the truth. Not just tell it, James added. Show it. We have all the evidence now. Nathan stood. We do this together, as a family. Olivia pressed play one final time. The last seconds of the tape captured Chen's wife's final words. Love is stronger than greed, Olivia. Remember that. Henry's monitor beeped steadily. His heart rate was strong. I spent 30 years chasing wealth, power, success. I had a fortune. But I lost my family. Not lost, Emily said, taking his hand. Just waiting. Nathan's phone buzzed. The FBI had finished Chen's interrogation. He gave them everything. Names, dates, accounts. It's over. Olivia shook her head. No. She looked at her family. Finally reunited. It's just beginning. As the morning sun filled the room, New York awakened to a new day. In a few hours, they would face the world together. The truth would finally be told. Not just about Anderson's crimes, but about love, sacrifice, and redemption. The Grand Hall, New York Conservatory. The auditorium was filled to capacity. News of the Kingsley scandal had drawn national attention, and the benefit concert had become the focal point of the biggest story in decades. At center stage, Olivia Carter sat at her restored Steinway, the piano that had kept their secrets for 30 years. In the front row, Henry watched from his wheelchair, surrounded by their children. Nathan, James, Emily, a family finally whole. Behind them, FBI agents stood guard, ensuring Anderson's remaining allies couldn't interfere. At the back of the hall, Isabella chose to watch from the shadows. Her testimony against Anderson and Chen had secured a lighter sentence. Her role in exposing the truth Isabella's testimony had helped bring Anderson and his network to justice. It had also earned her a measure of redemption. At center stage, Olivia Carter's fingers touched the keys. She took a deep breath and began to play. It was the piece she had composed over 30 years ago, a musical journey of her family's story. Each note carried the weight of secrets kept, sacrifices made, and love that had endured, despite everything. The hall fell silent. Then Emily stepped forward and joined her mother at the piano, a mother and daughter duet, telling the story that words alone could never express. In the audience, New York's elite sat frozen, watching as their world of privilege and power was transformed by the truth. At the front, Henry Kingsley closed his eyes, tears streaming down his face. The music brought back everything. Meeting Olivia, their early struggles, his ambitious dreams, the choice Anderson forced him to make, and the years of regret that followed. Nathan stood and faced the audience. Tonight isn't just about exposing corruption. It's about healing. The Kingsley Family Trust will restore what was taken from Anderson's victims. But more than that, it will fund music education for underprivileged children across the country. James stepped to the podium, still in his FBI suit. The evidence we've gathered has exposed corruption at every level. But it's also shown us the power of integrity. One woman's choice to protect her family and seek justice, no matter the cost. Emily took a deep breath, her voice steady. Our father built his empire on a dream, not knowing it was tainted by Anderson's crimes. Our mother spent 30 years making it right. Tonight, we begin a new chapter. The music swelled. Olivia played the final movement of her composition. The piece didn't end in triumph. It ended in reconciliation. Soft, healing notes that spoke of forgiveness and new beginnings. Henry was helped to the stage by his children. His voice, though weak, carried clearly through the hall. I spent my life chasing wealth, blind to the true riches I had. My children, my wife, my family, they were the real fortune I threw away. Today, we start over. The restructured Kingsley Group would become the Kingsley Family Foundation, dedicated to ethics in business and supporting the arts. The billions recovered from Anderson's schemes would help rebuild lives he had destroyed. For her final piece, Olivia played the same Chopin nocturne that had first brought her and Henry together, all those years ago. As the last notes faded, she felt his hand on her shoulder. Their journey had come full circle. The next morning, newspapers across the country carried the story, not just of Anderson's crimes or Chen's long undercover operation, but of a family rebuilt from the ashes of betrayal. The headline spoke of redemption, justice served, not through revenge, but through truth and reconciliation. At the hospital, Isabella visited Henry one last time, before beginning her reduced sentence. Her testimony had helped close dozens of corruption cases. She looked at Henry. Her voice was quiet. I learned too late what really matters. Don't waste your second chance. Emily took over Olivia's position at the conservatory, teaching music to a new generation. James returned to the FBI. His experience made him a leading expert in financial crimes. Nathan guided the foundation, ensuring their family's legacy would be one of healing, not harm. And in Olivia's studio, the two Steinways stood side by side. One that had once been lost, and one that had brought them home. One piano had hidden their secrets. The other had revealed their truth. Every morning, Olivia Carter played them both. A reminder that music, like love, could bridge any distance, could heal any wound. Henry recovered slowly, but with his family's support, he grew stronger. He spent his days not in boardrooms, but in music rooms, listening to Emily teach, watching his grandchildren learn to play, surrounded by the love he had almost lost forever. The Kingsley scandal became a case study in business schools across America, not just for its exposure of corruption, but for its lesson in redemption. It proved that even the greatest mistakes could be corrected, that love could transcend betrayal, that truth would always find its way to light. Months later, Henry and Olivia stood together in the grand hall of the New York Conservatory, renewing their vows. Their children played the wedding march. As they walked hand in hand, their story had come full circle. From young love to betrayal to redemption, proving that sometimes the longest road leads you back home. The final note of their story wasn't played on a piano. It was written in the lives they touched, the wrongs they made right, the family they rebuilt, stronger than ever before. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video and share your thoughts in the comments below. What would you have done in Olivia's position? Have you ever experienced the power of forgiveness in your own life? Subscribe to our channel for more touching stories. Stories that remind us that true wealth isn't measured in dollars, but in the love we give and receive. Remember, sometimes the greatest fortunes are the ones money can't buy. Family, forgiveness, second chances. Join our community of 2 million subscribers who believe in the power of love and redemption. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a story that just might change your heart forever. Because life's greatest riches are stored not in bank vaults, but in the hearts that choose love over wealth. Thank you for trusting me with this beautiful story. Let me know if you need any final refinements